podcast. I am Dr. Sam, and with me, as always, is the great Dr. Robert. How are you doing today?
Hey Sam, how you doing?
I am doing really, really well. We have a guest with us today, which we love. This is Chisholm Weaver with the BetterBone, and we're really, really excited to chat with you about the BetterBone because it's awesome. Both Robert and I have dogs that enjoy your bone. So
Which is saying a lot because my dog doesn't like any bones,
no,
so
and
this is
and
actually a
Gus,
big
like
deal for
my
me.
dog for a lab, like that's never been his thing. He doesn't really sit and like want to chew the same bone. So the fact that I don't think since a puppy he really ever had one bone he like really cared about. So you're doing something right.
Great to hear.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit about the Better Bone, kind of like how this came to be. And also maybe some of the reasons why dogs might really like it, and just, I mean, give us your whole story. We want to hear everything.
Sure. Yeah, it's good to hear that I grew up with labs, and their soft mouth, I think, sometimes makes them not as prone to like wanting to chew. I know that my dog loved rawhides, but we've all, we're hopefully providing a healthier alternative to that with BetterBone, and that's really kind of the genesis of it. So really, we're about a 25-year-old material science company. It's kind of our background. Obviously, we love dogs and everything else, but we've had this material actually for about 15 years, excuse me. We originally developed it for children's toys in Europe, actually, where there's really strict regulations around what can and can't be in children's toys and what type of qualities they need to have, which would be splinter resistant, safe to ingest and pass through the digestive tract. And chemical free from any carcinogens, mutagens, or anything that's harmful. So those three are really our kind of keystone qualities of the material as an alternative. It is made from two natural ingredients that we do source from the food industry. Originally, we didn't actually source from the food industry. Originally, we were actually sourcing, so it's cellulose and sugarcane oil. And the cellulose we were sourcing from furniture factories. We were actually taking the cutoffs and using as basically sawdust. But once we started making it for a dog chew, we decided to move into the food industry. So we source everything and manufacture everything in Europe. So we do adhere to all those strict regulations like gmo-free, free from any sort of potentially harmful chemicals. It was developed there as well. So we've had this material a while. It was really the pandemic that kind of spurred it on for the dog chew. So we have a gentleman who runs our factory in Croatia. And for a couple of years, we knew he was doing this, but we've made children's toys out of it, obviously. And one of our other B2B businesses is actually making hangers for high-end retailers.
Oh, yeah.
And we've used this material because in certain formats, it is biodegradable and compostable, and it reduces CO2. Sustainability is a big aspect of our background, really what we focus on. And he was giving his dogs like hangers and kids' toys that were coming out of the molds a bit messed up.
Oh.
And of course, at first we were a bit alarmed, but then he looked at us like we were the idiots and was like, my dogs have been chewing on this for 15 years. And he has 3 or 4 dogs. At some point, I know at one point he had 5. I think it was one of his employees' dogs, but all the dogs have chewed on the material for a long time. So we're like, hey, that's a pretty good case study. And then we started really looking at the qualities of the material. We're like, I think we may have something here.
Yeah.
And that kind of spurred us to, during the pandemic, nobody needed any of our products that we were making. And everybody's like, oh, did you guys do it because like the pet industry is booming? And it's like, no, it was more, everything else was kind of like stopped, and we had no idea that the pet industry was going to do what it has, but we're very excited to be, actually being able to offer a pretty unique solution to kind of the current selection of chews out there, that are not meant as like a meal replacement or to be entirely edible. Like our material, we say it's safe to ingest, but it's not a meal replacement. So it's like if your dog is chewing on something, they're going to be ingesting it at some point, right? Like it doesn't just magically evaporate when they chew on it. So let's give them something that's actually safe for them to ingest. And I think that's a really big aspect of what we're able to provide. We have about 30,000 bones in the market now. We have 0 extraction surgeries. and zero any like invasive surgeries that have had to be done for our product. Really, the only thing we've had is, every once in a while with our really dense bones, our tough bones, which we can get into more. We always err on the side of like, be careful, make sure your dog's teeth are healthy. So we can discuss that a little bit more. But yeah, that's kind of the genesis. I think a little bit long-winded, but
no, I mean, no, not at all. And I think that's it. So many really cool things come out of stuff like that, right? Like,
yeah,
you didn't seek out, you didn't like get up one day and go, I think I'm gonna make a bone. You know what I mean? Like, you had this thing that you really knew and trusted. It's not toxic. That it's not something that is going to be harmful in any way. And I feel like those stringent sort of regulations that you all had to deal with because you're in Europe, you already know you can't. I mean, that stuff is so important. So, I mean, if it's safe enough for like a kid, obviously, you're going to be in a good spot for a dog to be able to ingest it. They certainly ingest things we wouldn't give our children.
All the time.
Yes. Yeah. Especially like when I'm walking my dog in the city. Sometimes she pulls her head out of a bush and she's already like halfway eaten. And I'm like, oh dear.
Don't do that. Yeah.
BetterBone's the least of my worries in that.
Yeah. Well, and I like the fact too that you kind of speak to the whole rawhide thing, because that is hard when you have this sort of gap in the sort of chew kind of thing, because it's like, well, we have those rubbers that are not at all meant to be ingested, right? Like some of the big like Kongs and toys and the tough chews and things like that, but those are just to chew on. And then there's like the dental chews that are fully, like, they have calories listed, they are, those
Greenies,
are fully meant to be ingested. But that doesn't really satisfy in some dogs. I mean, they'll eat those in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
My
Like,
dog inhales it in 30 seconds. It's gone.
Right?
Yeah.
And so again, I'm not really even sure how much that even helps with the dental stuff if they're not chewing it for 2 minutes. But but then and then what are you left with in the middle? I mean, really, right? You're left with like raw hides and bully sticks maybe.
Right.
But even bully sticks, I mean, those are more ingestible. They don't really sit there and chew on them so much. They kind of just, at least not my dog, he eats them in like a second.
Right. My dog eats those too. I think that's actually been a huge advantage for the material itself. So we've actually been developing the material about it's going on 3 years now, but we only launched in March, and that was to make sure that we got everything right on the pet side. So we are very meticulous. Like I said, actually marketing is kind of our weakest point. We really do want to take our time to develop the products the right way. And actually the reception from the market, I think, speaks volumes to that. But with that said, that's why we have like 2 different densities that we actually brought out into the market. And that was more so of just a statement of like, here's what we can do from a density perspective. Now we have like our classic, which this is actually going to become our soft. We're actually just going to call it soft because we are bringing a density in the middle of these 2. So this is our tough bone. This is a direct comp for nylon. So our orange packaging, anywhere you see this, it's about 2% harder than nylon on the shore hardness scale. And really that's a product of our market response. So we actually brought out the soft bone first, and we had no intention of bringing anything harder. For worries of teeth health. Right. But of course, this product is going to break down quicker than I think people would like it to, specifically kind of at the price points where they're buying this stuff. With our products, it is premium, but we do not charge a premium price for it. We think that we're trying to get people to try the product. That's more important to us, and we'll grow the business that way by getting people to return to our product and feel safe with our product. And it was interesting because we've also done obviously a lot of testing in Europe, and there is no precedent for nylon. Really, they don't sell a whole lot of nylon products. They do exist, but there's not a lot of super hard products outside of antlers. And I'll come to that. Actually, we have a really fun project out of antlers. And so when we kind of got going here in the US, we did a soft launch on Amazon early 2022. And that was to get feedback, primarily. It wasn't really an attempt to make any money. We just wanted to see what the feedback was. And of course, we ran into, love the idea of it, love that it's food grade ingredients, love that it's natural, love that my dog can ingest it. It's a little messy, and I'd like it to last longer. Come to find out, I think it's because of the concentration of pit bull mixes in the United States versus what's Europe. So even a big Rottie, even a big German Shepherd, they outside of like Belgian Malinois, like nothing's really chewing like a pit.
No,
Is
that's
what
true. Because
I
even my experience with the bones, because Gus definitely likes the softer one better,
yeah
I would say.
yeah a lot of dogs do.
Yeah.
Yeah
He'll chew on the hard one, just not as long. So
yeah
I don't know, if there's something to that, just like he's getting what he gets out of it. But it's lasted. I mean, he's chewed it quite a bit. And it's still
yeah they do last, like especially for labs. And I think getting the right size. So we are bringing out a middle density to really kind of fill that gap as well, because our soft product, we kind of make that a comp to rawhide. The nice part is, though, there's no calories in it. I think people kind of forget, or it's just they don't realize the rawhides are actually pretty calorie dense.
People don't realize that, and I can't tell you
And how
how
they're
many
made.
times so many people just in my exams, I'll be like, well, give me an accounting of all the things that they're eating because your dog's overweight. We need to figure out where we're going to pull those calories from. And the people are like, oh, rawhides have calories? Like, they have no idea that they're adding a lot of calories.
Yeah, and I think the soft product, the hard product, doesn't provide that satiation of the need to chew and accomplishment of actually kind of like making progress. My brother's dog, like she's a fairly large like Florida cur, and she likes the hard bones because she likes both. She likes all of them, but the hard bones she doesn't go through as quick. She goes through the soft ones like really quick, and I think that's kind of where that line is, and that we're just finishing up our medium density, which I think strikes that perfect balance. And so we're going to be able to kind of offer specifically something tailored to your dog's chew strength, and also what you're willing to adjust to as a pet parent, or you as a vet are willing to suggest, because we've even had other vets like, I wish you had something in the middle, because the soft is pretty soft, and there's an educational gap there as well with our material. Because if you give a 120-pound Mastiff or small soft bone, there is the possibility that they could, just through leverage, break off an end. Then you obviously have an issue there. Just full transparency is what we tell people. It's like, you got to buy the right size as well. So we're bringing out a medium size and a mini. The mini will probably be here sooner. We have a lot of terrier customers, a lot of Yorkies. I didn't realize Yorkies were such savages.
Well, and they need to chew. I mean, those teeth are just waiting to have a ton of buildup, a ton of dental disease. But they need dental, you know what I mean? They need some sort of they need to be chewing, because they just build up tartar. You just look at them. They're born and they have tartar on them. I swear.
See, I didn't know all that, but we have a lot of people who are just like, we just wish you had something a little bit smaller. That's another thing, even with like the Asian market, the Korean markets, like it's something like 60% of the dogs there are Pekingese, which is like bizarre. It's Pekingese. I'm sorry. It's Pekingese. Is like 2 or 3 weeks ago I had this conversation. It's one small breed that basically dominates like everything there. I may have misspoken on the breed, but it's like, holy crap. Like,
I know they're more small breed focused. Like, they're more small breed focused for sure.
Yeah.
And I would have thought Pomeranian, not Pekingese.
Pomeranian. Thank you. I'm sorry. It's like, where the heck did I go with Pekingese?
I'm just thinking, I'm like, I would have thought more like a Pomeranian.
Yeah. Yeah, because we get like pictures back of like their Yorkies and their Pomeranians, and like this does look fairly giant, even though this is our small. Yeah, so we're excited to release that. And I think that like for the smaller dogs, like the softer product and a medium product are great. We do really well. We start getting like followings. We do really well with the Belgian Malinois community and French Bulldog community with our tough bones.
Frenchies, they really can chew and they'll destroy things.
Yeah. And we have a lot of them. We get a lot of feedback from them, which is always good. And dachshunds for our softer products. We do a lot of dachshund sales.
Interesting.
Not exactly sure why we didn't like pinpoint it. I think, we just kind of.
I mean, I'm wondering if, again, that's another like really well-known, very bad dental disease sort of breed. And so I think
they're just looking for something.
I do. I think that any person that's aware of how important it is for them to be chewing. I mean, I know it's not like that it's a particularly a dental sort of, chew or anything, but that just the chewing itself, that activity helps to keep tartar and stuff like that off.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
and also helps with stress as well too. Like that's a big part of like why dogs chew. Helps with anxiety, helps get them better behaved at home. So like you get the dental health benefits, but also the behavioral benefits too. And that's a big thing for most dog owners.
I think that's one thing that we haven't really keyed in on our marketing. Like I said, that's really our weakest point. We have so many other things that we try to talk about. To your point, like one of the other side parts is that Belgian Malinois apparently have very finicky stomachs, is what we've been told. That they have sensitive stomachs. So our material being hypoallergenic seems to be a better solution for them than maybe a rawhide or a nylon product. Where
that might also be why for Frenchies too. I mean, not to be whatever, but Frenchies,
really,
they have, oh my gosh, French. Well, name a problem, and a Frenchie has it. And I love Frenchies, so I'm not dissing the breed. I'm just saying, they have very sensitive stomachs. Their teeth are there just because of the smushy faces. They have a tendency to have twisted teeth and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, Frenchies have very sensitive stomachs, and they have all the allergies. All of them.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, my aunt just got a little Westie.
Oh my goodness.
And she's freaking adorable, number one. But she's got every allergy in the book. Allergic to grass.
Sensitive stomach. That's another breed.
Yeah, and it's and like every time I go over to that house, she's ripping around the house with a BetterBone, which is always exciting, for me.
Yeah. No, but that's really good that you have that option, because so many people have to put their dogs on a diet trial for whatever. So whether it's for allergies or for, you know what I mean? And so if you can do something that, meets that need, but then they're not, totally disrupting what they're doing, that's a really big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, we've also it's that, and that ties right into like also how we kind of flavor the bone. So we have our natural, where we don't actually add anything, and that's really specifically geared towards those dogs that are on very restrictive diets or need something more hypoallergenic. And actually, we were doing fine with sales. The flavor started coming along when pet owners were like, "This thing doesn't have any. My dog loves it, chews on it, but it doesn't smell like anything." And we're like, "Isn't that great? It's not smelling at the house."
You're like, so you're upset
Isn't
about
this a good thing? And I understand. I mean, I walk down I'm sniffing everything, including the bully sticks.
Talk about a smell.
I'm just kidding. I try not to avoid that. But so we actually started messing around, and we're actually filing a patent for this, because we didn't file a patent for the material, because you typically have to divulge the exact formulation and the manufacturing process with it, which we developed over, a long time in concert, and it really is proprietary to us. But the material, we may actually end up going ahead, because you can't really do this with any other material, given that what we're using currently. So we take dehydrated dog food, we take a natural beef kibble, and we further dehydrate it, and then we actually add it to the composite when we're making the bones.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
So the beef bones are actually 2% dog food by weight. So we're not actually flavoring them with anything weird or odd. And because it's suspended in the material, it's not actually oxidizing, so it doesn't like stink up your house either, which is really nice. If you do open like a box of like 50 of them, yes, does it smell a little bit like dog food? Sure.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be something that dominates your living room when your dog's chewing on it.
Yeah, I've never smelled it at all. I mean, not
right.
Smell it all. And also that means that as they're chewing through it, no matter how far they get, it's in there. It's everywhere.
It's in there. It's not a wash.
With it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. And because we're doing it with dog foods, we are moving. I think we're going to be moving to just straight beef. And we're going to be also doing chicken and pork. And then we have a really neat antler project going on, actually, where we're actually trying to flavor the products with antler, because antlers are they're actually real bone. I think people all have their keratin, but that's actually it's the fastest growing bone in the animal kingdom, I believe. And so I think look, this is what a Swedish guy told me. So the guy we're buying a bunch of the antlers. we're actually grinding up antlers and adding them to the composite to flavor it like antler. And we're actually making something that looks like an antler. So what's the main drawback with antlers, right? They're very hard. If they splinter, they can also become a real problem. So our material kind of solves both of those needs, where I can make something that looks like an antler, tastes like an antler, but is softer, safer on teeth, and your dog can ingest it, and safe, and is splinter resistant. So a lot of neat things on the flavor side. We've heard some very interesting things we're working on. Like, we've done some trial runs with cricket flavored. We know that that's like a direction the market's heading. There's a lot of people, because I guess it's hypoallergenic. We're not completely sure on that. We're not flavor scientists.
Do crickets have a flavor? I guess I didn't really think, I usually feel like, right? Whenever people ingest them, they usually eat like, ranch flavored or like barbecue flavored crickets, or like they're covered in chocolate. You know what I mean?
yeah. But somebody sent us some of that, and so we made a few. Trying to figure out, obviously, a viable, scalable solution.
Right.
But solutions that are going to be as safe for the dog as possible. Actually, one of the retailers that we work with suggested duck to us. I guess that duck is very safe and healthy for dogs. So we're kind of looking for solutions on that, and just seeing what we can find. Like at the end of the day, we're constantly tinkering with this. We're looking at new sizes, shapes, densities, obviously, and the flavors. We're also looking at doing infusions with vitamins, so calming agents like chamomile, and natural compounds. So as your dog chews on it, hopefully it calms them as well. It satiates that need. It reduces stress, but also, if you have a maniac, we had my uncle had 2 Jack Russells, and I think that they needed to be calmed down at all times.
They're very high energy dogs.
Wild.
And some of the Common Care probiotic, and mix that in there, and or CBD.
Yeah, the probiotics we have found actually a compound, a unique compound. We're working with 2 different groups to actually look at compounds that will survive the manufacturing process. Because there is a heating and cooling process, so you can kill natural cultures. Yeah, right. And then, like, how long does it last? Because even though it's a non-regulated market, we are coming from a very regulated place and a regulated market. And so I think it's important for us as a company to maintain those standards, because I think those standards are going to come here anyways. And it also just, it makes, it's just better for everybody. It's better for your dog. It's going to be better for your family, obviously better for the planet. And really be helpful, I think, as we kind of grow the brands to maintain these things, because we didn't realize the industry wasn't regulated either, which I thought was very crazy. There's products that are like, this has wood in it, and it has no wood in it.
It is amazing what you can get away with the way that you label certain things.
Yes.
Even just with like food. I mean, you could sit there and make yourself crazy being like, oh, well, this, the first ingredient is chicken. And it's like, that's just the heaviest ingredient when it came into the plant. It's like actually the least of what is in that food. You know what I mean? But it's all a game, and it's sad because it really shouldn't be, because you're proving it right now. You're doing it right? I mean, that's the whole point. Like, it's possible to take all those things into account, and it's possible to come out with a good product at the end of it. If you really stay true to yourself, you're already getting the traction that you know what I mean? So it's like, why not do it the right way? Because it's dogs' lives. It's, I don't understand.
Yeah. With our background being in sustainability, we've seen greenwashing in the other industries that we're coming from quite a bit. And greenwashing has been an issue for a long time. And now with the
I don't know
organic labels.
What's greenwashing? Wait, what is that? I don't know what that is.
So sustainability. So we come like really from the sustainability side of things. So like our material versus a nylon product, we reduce CO2 by 85% during the production phase.
Yeah, right.
But what you'll see is like people will be like, this is 100%, this is recycled. They won't say anything else. And it could be 1% recycled, it could be 0.5, it could be 100% recycled. Or that this reduces CO2. It's like, well, by what? Like there are ways to measure these things. They're just very expensive and time consuming. Life cycle analyzation, stuff like that, which it's understandable why other companies haven't done it. We've done it because we're coming from another place and we've already gone through the process to do this, which is great. It's a huge advantage for us. But like with the material itself, like it is GMO free, but we're right now going through the process to actually get it verified before we like really put like a bunch of stamps all over it. The material also, with the formulation on the tough bone, is actually compostable, but we don't put that on there because per FTC regulations, there is an actual direct, explanation for what composting needs to be. Now I'm making a dog chew. I could say it's all these things. I mean, it actually is based on the European description of what composting is, but we're selling in the US. And so before we kind of go ahead and say all these things, and I think we have enough good things to talk about with the product. But yeah, it is wild what they're able to label and not label.
Yes.
You have products that say, and we've seen this in other places, the bamboo. It's got bamboo in it. Well, it's like usually 1% bamboo just to give it a texture. That's how they texturize it, and the rest is nylon. But they'll say this is a sustainable bamboo. You're like, okay, well, yeah, bamboo is a grass. It does grow very quickly. It is renewable. Like, they're not lying in that. It's like, and it is what it is. We just like to try and be as forthcoming and as even keeled about what we're trying to say about our product, because we have enough good things to talk about with it. That I think overstating it would shoot us in the foot. To consumer.
But also too, it sounds to me like you have all these things, you're just going out to verify them, and the fact of the matter is, as you can keep adding them, it's just like one more feather in your cap. You know what I mean? In a world where we're all trying to take better care of our dogs, better care of our planet, like we're really trying to do the right thing in these ways. They don't have to be competitive. They can
exclusive. Exactly. It's always one of those things now that we have the product. I mean, because it's really neat that we have it now. Even for us, like myself and the dog owner and everybody else involved in the company, because it's like you go through the process of finding what your dog has allergies to, pay a lot of money for their dog food, for the specialty dog food, and then you just give them something to chew on that completely defeats the purpose of what you were trying to accomplish. And you don't do that wittingly. You don't do that knowingly. I mean, humans do that every day, all day. You're like, I know I should, but I'm going to have 6 more.
Right.
You're like, and then you're sitting in bed and you're like, I can't sleep. It's 2 a.m. I'm a crazy person. We do it to ourselves, but it's hopefully something that for the people that really are trying to take the time and figure that out. And we're trying to bring it at a price point that's very comparable to those industry standards. And we have a lot of advantages over a lot of other startups because of our history and our foundation. But we're not trying to like abuse it in any way or being like, I know the product's got to be $30 a bone because it's the best thing of all time. It's like, no, I want you to try it. I want you to hopefully come back and purchase more when you need them. That's
and keep having it, exactly, and making it something that you can make a part of your life as opposed to just like that one-time splurge, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a question for you guys.
First. Oh, that goes all right.
We get this all the time. We still handle, me and one other gentleman handle pretty much all the customer support, and it can be a little slow because we're trying to monitor like 8 different email accounts and do the daily work as I'm sure the boat do. And we always get the questions about I want something indestructible that's not going to break teeth. I get that a lot and I'm not sure how to answer that. because our hard product, I mean, I tell people, look, it's as hard as nylon. Like right. if it's about as hard as you, like, I wouldn't go any harder than that. And even then, from the perspective of long-term tooth health, like, I'll be honest, it's my product, but that's why we're developing the medium density.
Right.
Yeah. But if you want something that's going to last for 6 months to 8 months, like, then yeah, go ahead and get something really, really hard. It's been an interesting hurdle for us to try to overcome.
I mean, there's no such thing. I don't see how on earth you can, because the fact of the matter is anything harder than the enamel can crack the enamel. And I feel like you and we had this conversation too. It's not only just the density, but how they chew it. So like depending on the angle that they chew it, or how, like, how you hit something, even, I mean, people break their teeth on like soft things. Nice. It's not
bread. Bread is like the number one thing, like hard bread.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, so obviously people and dogs like don't have the same, issues with their teeth necessarily, because of just like, I think the occlusive surfaces are slightly different, and I mean, people get cavities. Dogs can get cavities, but they mostly have periodontal disease. It's a little bit different, right? But the fact of the matter is, technically anything harder than your enamel can break it. And I once heard the analogy, like, if you don't want to get hit in the knee with it, then don't like let your dog chew it, as far as like, will it break a tooth?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So things like femurs and stuff like that, which are sold everywhere, filled with bone marrow and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, your dog will chew that for a year, but it'll also get a slab fracture from it. So the fact of the matter is, I think it makes way more sense to take something that they can chew. So like finding the right density for your dog, like you were saying, whether it's the soft, the medium, or the hard. And I think for some breeds, that hard is going to be just fine. I know dogs that have chewed antlers their entire lives and have beautiful teeth and never even got a little chip fracture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is bizarre.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, and that's definitely harder, right? So if you have something that satisfies that dog's need to chew, there's always a risk. Anything you let your dog chew, there is always a risk. But there's a risk that they can go outside and grab a rock from outside and break their tooth. That my own lab did that growing up. He used to pick up rocks all the time. So you can't put them in a bubble. But they're going to chew something. If you have a chewer, you need to let them chew. So now you just need to make the best choice of what you give them to chew.
This is a trait of labs they don't tell you, that they have pet rocks, right? Like my lab, whenever we took him to the beach, he would just dig until he found a big rock, and then he would carry it around like he had secured
Our dog literally wouldn't fetch anything except rocks the size of his head. If you he would run. If you threw a rock the size of his head, he'd run after it. Anything else, he'd be like, we would have to pretend to throw it the other way so that we wouldn't end up hitting him with it.
Yeah, you're so smart most of the time, but my dog became a full-blown idiot when he would get coconuts. He would rip, if they were green, he would rip off one of the things, and then he would whip his head around and beat himself senseless with it. And we'd be like, he was the best dog until you gave him a coconut, and then he would almost knock himself clean out. Yeah. It was great fun to watch as a kid. Labs are hilarious. Yeah, it is crazy though to see. We have a guy who actually started buying the products when we first started making them. He has multiple pit bulls, and he has one that has really bad anxiety. Mm-hmm. And with that, he gives them our soft bones. And I say that he gives them for a week, and this dog actually eats them for a week. And of course, I'm like, please don't do that. Right. Please move to our harder product.
Yeah.
It is non-soluble fiber. So the worst case scenario, it's like eating a 15 heads of broccoli. Right. You're not going to be doing okay. Regardless of it not hurting you. Right. Regardless of it not hurting you, it's not going to be comfortable.
And think about pit bulls. They already have gas. I mean, I can't even imagine.
I don't want to know what's going on in this house.
Oh, God.
Don't give it to a boxer then.
or I mean, even if any sort of smushy face, they're already swallowing a whole bunch of air. So
yeah, he's let the dog do this. He still, I think, does it now. We pushed him over to like a small retailer in his area because I was like, I'm gonna push the business to this lady, Yeah, he's a great sale. You're getting 4 bones basically a week. But the dog eats them, and he's like, he never had a problem, and we haven't heard anything. I should probably check in.
Yeah.
But the first year, it was like the first year we were making the product and just kind of being quiet. We're handing them out to friends and family, doing small sales, and just getting them in like boutique shops. And this guy came along, and we were like, "Thank you for an intense trial run."
Yeah, right.
We did not.
We'll have him on the next podcast. So
yeah, like check in with him every once in a while. How's your dog doing? So
yeah, bring him on. Dog just sitting in a chair next to him with a bone, eating it.
Chewing on the bone.
Right.
So I guess I'm curious, just like as part of your background, like what were you just working for this company anyway? Like how did you even come to this?
So I don't know if you picked this up, but I'm not a scientist.
You're not?
No. So funny enough, my background is actually in like construction and sales.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually I was at a conference, and these guys, so the background of the business on the material science side is helping large retail companies develop circular economies by using either the waste from their production cutoffs, so like actually textile waste or all the plastic waste for shipping clothing in their stores, or just helping even larger companies, a lot of German-based companies, Bosch, Siemens, stuff like that, actually develop new compounds. And I saw them at a trade show that we were attending together, and kind of realized like what they were doing, and I thought it was very interesting. Ended up becoming friends with them at the bar, which is typically how I make a lot of friends.
Hey. We get that.
Yeah. It's useful. Networking still works in person.
Yeah.
And I always told them, I was like, if there's ever an opportunity to work with you guys, I think it's really interesting what you're doing, because they were obviously having tons of success with a small team. And then the pandemic hit, and one of their main guys decided to leave, and they gave me a shout. And
nice.
Actually, it was about 6 months before the pandemic hit. So it was like early 2021. And then from there, we weren't doing any of these consumer products. So we weren't doing the dog shoes. And we have a couple other lines of consumer goods. And it just kind of came about. And so it was kind of my job. They're like, new guy, like, we're doing like a consumer product instead of a B2B product. See what you can do with it. And so that's been really my job up to this point. So we founded a separate company, which is Blue Standard. You'll see on all of our bones, it says BetterBone by Blue Standard. Not sure if you can actually see it on there, but that's the parent company here. And then I've loved it ever since. It's actually been kind of the most fun. I wasn't in that realm or industry at all, but I knew that was kind of where everything was heading, and it was interesting. And I was fortunate enough to kind of luck my way into it. Probably a little bit more than luck, but it's
hard work gets there too.
That's exactly. I mean, the thing is, it's like you never know how these relationships that you make in different situations end up. You know what I mean? Like, and it's great because I think the best moves in your life end up being the ones where you were like, sure, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I got nothing else going.
Sure. Right.
The
Absolutely.
The best thing you can have is a supportive wife or partner, because my wife has put up with a lot of successes and heartbreaks, and she gets to watch my emotional roller coasters daily. And boxes and boxes of samples. She's had enough.
Shout out to
my brother's wife. Yeah, my brother's wife said the exact same. She's like, you need to get these boxes out of here. He's got like piles of myBalto boxes at home. He's just like, I'm sorry, I'm trying. And just
we're in a Manhattan, apartment. So it's like, oh goodness. And so then I have a little Manhattan office, and it's full of those boxes. And I'll get rid of all the boxes for like a week, and then all of a sudden, like one box shows up, and steadily it grows.
Starts the whole thing all over again.
Yeah, because we've done we've done actually recycled ocean plastic leashes and collars. We're kind of fixing the design piece on those. Those are all fair trade as well. So we have a lot of neat products that we're working on and constantly spitballing. And so I always have like a 3D print of a new design, or samples of materials where it's just like a bag of like pellets. My wife's like, what is this? Am I gonna cleaning this up later?
Oh my goodness, yeah. That she's an awesome person, I can already tell.
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna send this
you
to
do.
her.
You need that. You need that like person that's like. That's how my husband. I always knew that we were meant to be together because I was like, one day I was like, I'm gonna be a veterinarian. He's like, all right, what do we gotta do? Like,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. You gotta show success though. You gotta show positive movement. And yeah, no, I mean, from coming in not knowing anything about the industry, I think that's also been maybe a good thing because we are a German company. The Germans are very, in a really good way. They're very direct. They're very well researched. They're very conservative in how they approach things. And whether that's cultural or just the people that I'm fortunate enough to work with, I'm a little bit more of a shoot from the hip type thing. So it's kind of a nice yin and yang. I'm willing to go out there and make a lot of mistakes and also, hats off to them. They're willing to watch me make a few mistakes. I think they take side bets. All right, baby. But we've been able to put ourselves in really good positions with the products. With our launch, our real launch in March, we've got we're going to be in some very large retailers. And we're going to be launching in Petco in Q1.
Yay!
Probably beginning of Q2. I think it's April. We're going to be launching there. So, and that's
awesome.
I was just in Petco the other day, and I was looking around at shoes, and I was like, "Where is BetterBone? Why isn't it here?"
We will be there.
Good.
We will be there in the coming months. So we're very excited about that. That's just really exciting. It's just, man, now the rubber meets the road, and now it's making sure that our operations are straight. The product speaks for itself. We have a couple other larger retailers that we won't discuss at this time, but maybe next time we chat, we'll be in all your favorites.
Well, we'll have to. That's the thing is we like this to be the first conversation we have, and then the next time you have more to tell us, so you come see us again. I'll walk in. I have a Petco across the street from where I work, so I'll wear my scrubs and I'll be like, I am a veterinarian.
Wonderful.
I'll say it really loud in my very loud New York booming voice.
That'll get their attention.
Everyone can hear it.
Wait, Robert, you're on the West Coast, and Sam, you're in the East Coast.
I'm East Coast time as well, but I'm in Indiana.
Gotcha. Okay.
Even though I'm an original New Yorker.
You're still East Coast? It's wild. Like what still it constitutes like the East Coast time zone.
It's pretty far out there, but it's still East Coast. You split over to Central Time about 2 hours west of where I live.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So that there's actually like a little sliver of Indiana that's on Central Time. So where my husband where he works, he's got 2 offices and they're in two different time zones.
Oh,
that sounds miserable.
Yeah.
Like, I'll sit down. I have to get up for work.
Yeah. Thankfully, we're up here first because we've got 3 kids.
Yeah.
So that's never a problem.
Yeah. That works. That works great. But I don't know where they're going to launch us. It's going to be a limited number of stores to get us rolling, which is I'm grateful for.
Right.
I mean, we're in Chewy. We sell a ton on Amazon. And then we've done really well with local boutiques. They've been really helpful in getting our product out there. And I do love those because they're really help bridge that gap of the educational piece about our product, because it's always, why is BetterBone better than X? And sometimes if you're unaware, you can just look at the product and be like, this just looks like white, wood or wood composite plastic thing. What does it matter? And so those little boutique stores have been really, really great for us. kind of all over the place, a smattering of them. And now they've been asking the distributors, and the distributors are now finally like, hey, I've got like 10 stores that carry your bones. Like, I should probably talk to you. Like,
yeah.
That's where it starts, though, man.
I mean, I'll take all the margin, but
yeah. Yeah. No,
but
that's great.
Yeah, it's far easier, and it's much better growth for that. They were actually about to launch in Europe. I think we're probably going to launch our antler products there first, just because antlers are so popular there.
Right.
And then we'll be bringing them here to the U.S., which I'm really excited about. It's also bizarre with the price of antlers.
They're so expensive. I mean, like a piece this big is like $40. You're like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Really expensive.
When we found that out, we were like, man, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, they were. It's like a 9-ounce one was like $70. I was in a store the other day.
Yeah,
they're very
I'm not
expensive.
even shocked by that because you're in New York too. I mean, I'm in Indiana. This one is like, so yeah, it's great.
There's a guy that just got done whitetail, hunting who's got plenty of antlers for you.
Oh,
right.
He's in the back of his truck with a sawzall.
My boss was a hunter, and there's a whole bunch of deer antlers down in our basement, and I kind of be like, you realize like you have like a gold mine.
You're seeing a fortune, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh my goodness.
Well, we're really glad things are going as well as they have been. I think that's awesome that BetterBone is taking off, and I think we really enjoyed personally getting to use your product.
Yeah.
But also getting to learn more about it too. I think that's a big thing for us because we like to share this even with clients that come in. Sam probably has this conversation 20 times a day. I'm probably less so, but she has them all the time. So I think it's always appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and it's good to hear the feedback from vets. We do have a lot of good feedback from the vet community. We're actually looking at doing the vet. Forgive me, it's been a long day. To get actually certified for the vet safety, VOIC, I think.
VOHC, so the Veterinary Oral Health Council.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's a good idea to do.
If you can do that, because it really is that like little extra piece of panache that's just like, hey, this helps to get at least 20% of tartar off the teeth, and that's what it has to do.
Yeah, that's a stipulation there, right?
So that's, I mean, for me, I don't know a ton of how you get on there. Like, I don't know the process, but anything that's on that list has to get at least 20% of the tartar and calculus off the teeth. It can be more than that, but it has to be at least 20%. I
think we can do that.
Yeah.
There you go. See, I like it.
Even better.
We got this.
Speaking of next feather, that would be a really good one. But I can't even tell you, we just talked to you all night. I'm like, but it's been great to have you here, and keep us in the loop. Keep letting us know how you're doing, because we get very excited about good people that are doing the right thing. Like I said, for our pets, for our planet, like this is something that means a lot to us. So Absolutely. That's why we love to share with people, and we like nice people that are easy to talk to and lots of fun. So
wonderful.
Thank you for coming on our podcast. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Thanks for trying the product out. Yeah. We like it, the market and just all the reviews that we get are just it's really amazing. Like being in the pet industry and just being somebody who grew up with multiple dogs all the time. It's great. It's the best part of my job is people sending me pictures of their dog playing with the product. It makes me so happy. I can't imagine how fulfilling being a vet is too. Like when you guys get those kind of feedback, when you've helped somebody's dog. So yeah, it's really exciting. It's really fun. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. So. Hey, will you give everybody your website so that they can check you out personally?
Of course. Yeah. It's thebetterbone.com. It's THE, and we had to add that there because there is an osteoporosis drug white paper that bought BetterBone many years. And we've reached out to them. So if you can't find us by plugging in betterbone.com, just put the in front of it and you'll find us. On Instagram, it's BetterBone. We basically only just post user-generated content that none of it's paid for. It's all just people send us their videos, and it's wonderful. And we just repost.
Awesome. I love that.
Yes, a lot of fun.
And people can always send us emails at podcast@mybalto.com. So if they ever have questions for you or for us about what you guys are doing, they can always reach out to us. But so hopefully, yeah, this is the beginning of our conversation, not the end. And we really appreciate it again. And this has been the Pause It Podcast. We appreciate everyone for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.